Welcome everyone to Goodnight and Good Game, your source for geek news for the weeks that were. I'm your host James, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host Hector.
Hello.
And our fantastic producer John.
It's me.
And this week in the show, after the news, we're going to discuss the fantastic Star Wars series, Maul Shadow Lord. But before we start, don't forget that you can head over to goodnight.gg, where as a patron of our show, you can suggest topics for us to talk about. Also, as a patron, you get access to our off-week episodes. We're now into Season 2 of our Tales from the Crypt watch and recap. It's only $1 to join our Patreon. And, by the way, Tales from the Crypt, it's on Shudder now. We watched our first episode on Shudder today, so it's a great time to join the Patreon and join our watch-along. If you're not able to join our Patreon, though, you can always help us by liking or sharing our episodes, or just letting somebody else know about our little podcast.
Help
would mean
us.
the world to us.
Remember, kids, it's 2 and 2. Take 2 minutes to leave a review on your service of choice and tell 2 friends.
There you go.
Or enemies. We don't care.
Oh, yeah, tell your enemies.
Make your enemies listen to us.
Yeah.
All right, with all that out of the way, it's time to get into the news in the Weekly Raid.
The Weekly Raid.
All right, it's time for the Weekly Raid, your roundup of recent geek news. Kicking things off this week in weird movie news, in 2008, a little movie called The X-Files, I Want to Believe hit theaters.
Very little.
And it turns out there's a cut of this movie that is actually much more of a horror movie. X-Files series creator Chris Carter has helped reassemble this chapter of the X-Files, and it's going to become a re-release on Disney Plus in June. This is effectively his director's cut of the film.
Huh.
Hector, you're our resident X-Files chap.
Yeah, which is weird because, one, I've seen about a third of the X-Files.
Wait, shouldn't we all have been, like, obsessed with the X-Files?
You would think
and
so, but
I say this as somebody who's only ever seen, like, 5 episodes, but I look at a room like us, objectively, and I'm like, oh,
Are you saying that nerds should be watching the X-Files?
I'm saying that,
How dare you, sir?
There's this, so
stereotyping in this home?
I'm just saying, if I was walking into that door and looking at the 3 of us, I'd be like, oh, those dudes probably pirated every episode of the X-Files.
The thing about the X-Files is, like, man, ACAB, like honestly, those bees/aliens deserve to live, and the FBI just coming banging on their door, just trying.
They are the feds.
They are the feds.
They are the feds.
Yeah, no, so I've seen about a third of the X-Files. I do enjoy the movies. I do love David Duchovny. I actually came late to David Duchovny.
You didn't watch Red Shoe Diaries like the rest of us?
No. I watched Californication because I love boobs. And that, if you love boobs, if you're a fan...
If you're a fan of David Duchovny,
for sure,
being the most atrocious human being.
And if you would prefer him being cast over somebody like Dennis Leary, which we all would.
Yeah, which we all would, because he's actually pretty wholesome at it.
Yeah, and he's not a good actor, but better him than Dennis Leary.
Yeah, and the series of creators who, when making this show, knew exactly what they were trying to portray. You'll love the show Californication. I cannot recommend it enough. It's a wonderful show, but it made me realize what a great actor David Duchovny was, and that made me think, wasn't he on that show with all the aliens? That I should have been into that. My whole thing, my entire childhood with the X-Files was a movie in theaters. I didn't go to Fox for TV. I didn't care. Right. I was a movie watching kid. So yeah, I never saw it until I was in my late 20s. And I only watched the episodes that had David Duchovny in them, and only the ones by really good directors. And they're fucking like Vince Gilligan's in there. There are so many great directors and so many great episodes of the X-Files as a police procedural about, weird fucking phenomenon. I never ever once went to the X-Files for horror. Same is true with the movies. Were they spooky every now and then? Sure, the threat of a monster can be spooky, but the show wasn't explicitly a horror show. It was specifically a cop procedural. So the movies, to me, were also much the same. I don't think I was looking for a scary version of this movie.
I will say, and maybe you guys can back me up on this, when you were a little kid and the intro came on Did that not kind of terrify you?
No,
you know what?
No, I just wanted to know how to play it.
No, because I grew up with Tales from the Dark Side, the TV show, which ostensibly has the creepiest intro of all fucking time.
Yeah, if only for its low fidelity. Ugh.
And that weird narration.
But I gotta say, as a kid, I would see that intro and it creeped the shit out of me. Flash forward to like now, where occasionally my wife and I will watch an episode of X-Files and the intro comes on. I'm like, ew, that was like made on video toaster, like with fucking like
John got so much more pretentious with age.
with like
blender.
Arial font.
All right, let's move on from the X-Files. Let's keep our like weird movie news coming though, because you know what we've been missing in recent years in film, and that is some gritty, dirty fantasy.
Yeah, agreed.
And it turns out soon we will have it because King Conan, the next film in the long dormant franchise, is going to start filming next year with Arnold representing his role as Conan the Barbarian. To quote the man himself, the movie wouldn't have worked after I did the first Conan because the whole idea of King Conan is that for 40 years, he is king, he is older now. He's no longer in the shape that he was in his heyday. People are trying to take him out. He's the king and he gets a bit complacent. He's tired of the job and wants to move on. He said, Arnold went on to say, look at the movie by Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven. It'll be a lot like that, but with extraordinary battles.
Fucking cool. Yeah, like I don't know what to say. I mean, it's speaking of breasts, it's Conan. Like, you know, it's 80s fantasy with a whole bunch of like loincloths and oily muscles and swords and you know, blood.
Quoting Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven as being a source for the new Conan, that's a bold choice.
It is. And you know what? It's a choice that only someone his age would make, which is honestly, I think, a plus in this situation because he has a vision for what he wants to make and the type of story he wants to tell. And dropping that name makes me more likely to think it isn't a bullshit title made for streaming.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, he most likely Arnold's going to be coming into this wanting to like have this on every screen in every theater. Like,
Man, I hope so.
He's come in with that desire a few times where it's gone straight to DVD.
yeah. All right, let's do a mini documentary block today. I know that sounds boring. Don't tune us out. These two may make you want to watch one. So first off, one of the greatest creature actors of all time, Doug Jones, is getting a documentary called Get Me Doug Jones. The film will cover how Jones went from an actor and a mime in the Midwest to the creature actor from everything from The Shape of Water to Hellboy, What We Do in the Shadows. The documentary is currently being filmed, and it'll have interviews with Jones, his fans, and a ton of the people who worked with him.
Sounds awesome.
I am a huge Doug Jones fan. I've always been a fan of just character actors or monster actors.
Yeah, I guess we all are. We just didn't know it.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I love movies about how to make movies. I just really, really do. And special features, vignettes, shorts, episodes of TV, whatever it is. If it's about how they made a thing that I liked watching, I'm in.
Doug Jones, if you've seen any of his work, you know the man, you know like just how great he is. He's probably like one of the greatest since like Bela Lugosi or you know, just any of the original Universal actors.
The Universal, the Hammer Monster actors, like any of them.
Any of them. Like Doug Jones is our closest thing to that we have now. And the fact that he does happily undergo hours of prosthetics to completely transform himself in every role that he has.
Constantly.
I very few actors I think are as deserving as a documentary as he is.
Yeah. I mean, think about like, I bet you if you added in all of his like makeup chair time, it would be something like more than I've played World of Warcraft or something insane like that. Like thousands of hours in that chair.
Yeah. The next documentary is one that's actually really close to my heart. It's called In Search of Nosferatu. So it's being made by the same crew who made the documentary called Chain Reactions that was about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that had Patton Oswalt as the narrator. Patton is actually coming back as the executive producer for this documentary about a film archivist who's actually looking for surviving copies of Nosferatu to try and reassemble them into the true version of the film. So if you were unaware, most copies of Nosferatu were actually destroyed after a legal battle with the Bram Stoker estate. And so very few copies of the film exist. But there are disparate copies of the film that are out there. So you can go on Shudder and watch one version of Nosferatu right now, but there's a completely different one that somebody else may own. And so what this archivist is trying to do is seeing if he can get his hands on all these different versions of the original silent movie and see if he can create what should be ostensibly the true version of the film.
Well, fucking get them quick. They're not going to last forever.
That's very true. I mean, this is what 1930s, I want to say. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
I mean,
long time ago.
Apologies for the side jag, but like everybody in Austin, my closet is drifting ever closer to, the ass crack swamp ass of Austin. But I opened it up a few weeks ago and I started noticing a different kind of odor. And a couple days ago, I opened it up and I'm like, why does it smell like my closet has come down with vinegar syndrome? Oh, I have a 16 millimeter film in there.
Oh,
Yeah, that'll do it.
So I need to digitize that soon. But I wrapped it up in cellophane and paper towels. So
Yeah.
There you go. All right, let's head over to video game news. The U.S. Library of Congress has accepted the soundtrack to the original Doom into the National Recording Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. So to quote the GameSpot article this came from, according to the Library of Congress, Doom's soundtrack earned its place by being an adrenaline-fueled soundtrack produced in an era when video game composers had to deal with the limitations of their time.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
What is it, M1?
Yeah, E1M1.
Yeah, E1M1 is considered one of the most legendary music tracks of all time. And the fact that, the original Doom soundtrack is going to be put into the Library of Congress.
Yep. Someday,
Yes.
2016 will get there.
Doom 2016
deserves
absolutely
it.
will
So
get
does
there
Eternal.
someday. All right. Sony Entertainment announced this week that they are no longer going to be releasing PlayStation 5 exclusive titles on PC. Now, this follows on the heel of Xbox recently announcing that they're going to be going back to having console exclusive titles soon as well. To quote GameDeveloper.biz, sources familiar with the company's plans told Bloomberg in March that the PS5 games have not sold well on the platform and suggested that PC ports, quote, risk damaging the console's brand and hurt sales of the PS5 and its successors.
gee, I wonder why they haven't sold well. Hector? Hector?
PlayStation Studio Business CEO Herman Hulst told staff in a town hall Monday morning meeting that the company's narrative single-player games such as Spider-Man will now become PlayStation exclusive, to confirm the Bloomberg's earlier reporting. So, what we have is that over the last couple of years, we saw both Microsoft and Sony go, all right, we're going multi-platform because that means more money. And so Sony started putting their narrative stories such as The Last of Us and Spider-Man on Steam. And Microsoft said, we're going to put Halo on a PlayStation. And theoretically, that's more money for all of us. Thumbs up. It appears, according to people who were at the top of these organizations, that is in fact not what happened, or that the cost of porting versus sales wasn't great enough to justify that keeping going. Alternatively, this also can sound, and this is hypothetical, this is not fact-based, but it is very possible that somebody at Sony said, well, Microsoft's taking their exclusives away. Why don't we do the same thing?
You know who I'm really disappointed in?
Atari?
I am disappointed in all the PC gamers who refuse to pay full price for 10-year-old games. That's who's at fault here.
and that's really like where it's at. Yeah, Sony is absolutely making this move because Xbox is making this move. And Xbox is making this move because they found out that when everything is an Xbox, no one wants one. because everyone has everything.
Because if everything is something, then nothing is that something.
Yeah.
It's everything, everywhere, all
So,
at
so
once.
why would anyone buy an Xbox? Why would anyone play an Xbox game when I can get it on PlayStation? Which is, by and large, according to every metric right now, because people are doing a lot of math right now, because we're about to get Grand Theft Auto 6 dropping, and it's going to generate a lot of math.
Like all of the math.
People are wondering, like, how many copies are likely to sell on the current Xbox versus the current PlayStation 5? And the answer is, what current Xbox?
Right.
Yeah. So, Xbox, they want you back. They're trying really hard. They're doing everything they can. They lowered the price of Game Pass. That is the first subscription service we have had a price drop on. Like they are, bringing exclusives back. They changed the logo from the plain white bullshit back to the cool green orb thing. Like, they are trying to get their
Didn't they
people
change
back.
like the it wasn't in caps anymore, right? It was originally like capital X box, and now they're like, no, we're putting it all back in caps.
Yeah,
because
the dash is back. The Xbox, like guys, the console wars are back. Not for any other reason than no one has any RAM because we live in hell. RAM used to be the cheapest shit in the world, and now no one can get any because someone wants their AI to fucking blow them or something. The surrounding politics, regardless,
Irregardless.
No. The console wars are back on. How dare you? The console wars are back on, and we're back to exclusives. And the only losers in this fight, aside from Xbox, who will always be the loser, is PC gaming. Because now the exclusives are really exclusive. And here's the thing. Xbox actually made money on PC sales. They did. Putting their games on Steam at the same time they did Xbox, that's a good play. Sony would honestly also benefit from that greatly. Thing is, games are too big now, and it's too troublesome to worry about multiple platforms at a time, unless you think you're Ubisoft or something, and no one's Ubisoft, not even Ubisoft. So instead, everyone makes a game for their platform and then something else later, which is usually, smartly, PC. And yes, we're not going to pay full price for your fucking game. It's 5 years old. You will get $30 at the most if I'm feeling generous or it's Christmas. Otherwise, I'm waiting for a big fucking sale. Why? Because hundreds of games that I personally want to play come out every year. Not hundreds of games come out every year. Tens of thousands of games come out every year. Hundreds of games that I personally want to play, most of which I will never get to, come out every year.
At least 18 hentai simulators.
Yeah, so if you are making a game that I want to play for $70 on a system that I don't own, or even one that I do but would rather like have a better experience on, I'm going to wait for it to hit PC. And if I'm waiting for it to hit PC, I have a lot of other PC games to play, I'm going to wait for a sale. And we just need to recognize that as the reality of the system. Look, PlayStation, you are the default console of this generation. Go ahead and release your games for $70. That's great. I'll even buy them. That's how I bought Saros. You're welcome. Because it's a great fucking game, and I wanted to play it, and I wanted to play it on day one.
You needed all of the Rael Cooley in your life.
In my life, and that was the price. And you know what? I was willing to pay it. You know what I would never do? In 5 years, pay $70 for it on PC. But if I never played it, you'd be better off with my $30 in 5 years than my $0 forever, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see a lot of things that have happened in the games industry landscape over the last couple of years starting to get rolled back. In fact, let's talk about the next bit of news, because over the last couple of years on this podcast, we have been talking obsessively about how larger game studios and publishers have been buying up tons of smaller studios in the hopes that they could produce more content and thus make more money, right? That's the natural way of it, right? I have more things, I make more games, I make more money. So one of the biggest buyers during this time was Embracer Group, who bought up what could only be described, and I'm going to put this in the most technical terms that I can so that everybody can understand this, as a metric fuck ton of IP and studios, including but not limited to Lord of the Rings, Tomb Raider, Metro, Dead Island, Deus Ex, Time Splitters, Thief, Legacy of Kain, Destroy All Humans, Gothic, Killing Floor, and Kingdoms of Amalur, and that's just the IPs. That is not the number of studios that they bought over the last couple of years. And this all started happening around COVID. Like the beginning of COVID is when big studios were like, oh, I'm just going to start buying up other studios, thus making more games and profit. And what we're beginning to see now is the backlash from that. We're actually starting to see these studios who bought up all of these things pushing themselves away and splitting up these beloved IP and these monoliths of studios and going, oh, well, you know what we're going to do is we're going to separate our studios again. And maybe we'll give you guys back a bunch of your IPs and you just become your own companies again. We won't control what you're doing. And this is an interesting fallout because, like I said, on paper, what they were doing back during like peak COVID of buying up all of these studios and buying up all of these IPs made sense. We're like, we don't like it. You know, this is starting to get into like really weird monopoly territory. But, you know, we see that, you know, having more studios means more people, means more product. And then over the last several years, we've been seeing them getting rid of their people who make their games, who make their profit. And now people like Embracer Group are saying, oh, well, maybe we'll sell off some of our studios or we'll branch them off from us and give them titles to work on and ignore them and let them just do what they're supposed to do instead of us all being under the Tower of Babel and controlling every single title that came out because it just ended up not working.
So here's the thing that people are slowly learning. And you know what? It's a hard lesson to learn. Most of it comes down to this one and only thing that everyone needs to realize immediately. The stock market is not tethered to reality. Making things is hard. And owning everything does not mean you have anything anyone wants to buy from you. I'm going to elaborate. Look, like I said, making video games is hard. I could buy, if I just had money to throw around.
It's a miracle they get made.
Let me buy Lord of the Rings. Yeah, then let me buy, everything everybody loves. I'll buy Iron Man. I'll buy the Avengers. I'm going to buy Batman. I'm going to buy all these things. All right, now, all I need to do is make video games out of them, and I'll make a fucking $1 trillion, right? Look at all these IPs. They're going to be great games. They're going to be great games, right? Who am I going to get to make some games? Okay. I own all these IPs. Everyone should be lining up to suck my dick to make these games. Where is everyone? I own everything.
Most likely you fired
Where's
them.
my money? I bought everything. I thought the people who owned things get money. Not if you don't make things, guys. I don't know why this is so difficult to explain to y'all.
Well, because the modern version of capitalism is not to make products. What you do is you convince people to be satisfied and then you steal their money.
Right. But the thing about video games is if you don't make something anyone even remotely cares about, no one cares about you. Mm-hmm. Like straight up. So you have nothing to rely on. All you have is this dense, fat portfolio of fucking potential. And all that potential does is weigh you down. And everyone looks at you and goes, what'd you produce this year? Oh, nothing. Oh, really good video games take 5 fucking years to make these days? Much, much longer in several cases? Oh, shit. Maybe I should get started on all of them right now so I can be profitable in 2032? Yeah. Yeah, maybe you're going to need to sell off some IP. Maybe flat out give some back. Maybe split your company 4 different ways so your tax burdens aren't as large. Because you never thought for a second that owning all this IP, you'd ever have to fucking make something. Or even try to.
There's the other side of the coin that I kind of want to address here is that not only did Embracer buy up a lot of IP, but they also bought up a lot of studios. Embracer was one of the largest buyers of video game studios over the course of the prime of the pandemic. And so what we're seeing is that A, they bought up all of these studios. B, they did what everybody's been doing for the last 2 years, as was the style at the time, which was lay everybody the fuck off.
Yeah, that's
So
the thing
now
about buying studios.
you bought all these studios, you laid all these people off, and now you're standing there, to put it bluntly, with your dick in your hand, going, why is nothing happening?
Right. So if I buy a company and then, the fiscal quarter comes around and it's like, oh no, we're going to report a loss. You know how we don't report a loss? We don't pay a whole bunch of people at the end of the quarter by firing them all now. Cool. That balances that. Now, let's make a video game. Where's the team?
Right.
Oh.
And that's exactly what's
Quick,
been going
hire
on.
the team. What team? You need talent? Yeah, cool. It's easy to hire people right now, right? Easy to vet them, easy to find the talent you need in the cesspool that is the job hiring market. Easy to prove what your credentials are, given that everyone has to be lying to even remotely get a job right now. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have fired everyone who had any idea how to do the thing that you said you would do that you don't know how to do.
One of the reasons I wanted to bring this up in the podcast is that while this is a really huge news for Embracer Group, I genuinely do believe that we are going to be hearing more reports coming out of more studios doing something very similar.
Oh, yeah.
All these big studios. I mean, Microsoft alone. And when Microsoft bought companies during that period of time, they weren't buying small companies.
Arcade.
They were
Bethesda.
buying. They bought ZeniMax. They bought Arcane. They bought, these are huge. They bought
Activision Blizzard.
The biggest video game deal to ever happen. And
Activision Blizzard King.
And right now, they're staring down the barrel of Activision Blizzard going, Call of Duty isn't making us money anymore because we put it up for free on Game Pass.
Yeah, that was stupid.
It took them getting a new CEO, which we talked about several weeks ago.
Yeah,
for her
doing
to
a great job, by the way.
She is killing it. She came in and went, hey, so we're pulling Call of Duty from Game Pass.
Yeah, hey, and everything isn't an Xbox anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, let's unfuck all of this. Also, whoever's idea it was, and I'm quoting a YouTuber right now, forgive me, but whoever's idea it was to say Microsoft Gaming to the public, fire that guy. Like straight to jail. Who thought that was a good idea?
It's Xbox. It is the brand.
Yeah. It's
is
not
the
just
brand.
that it's Xbox. It's Microsoft is what I associate with Teams and spreadsheets.
I don't want to come home and look at the Microsoft logo in my game, damn it.
And a boss telling me I should use Copilot more. But no, I'm going to come home and get into some Microsoft gaming, not get on my fucking PlayStation. Jesus.
I didn't even like Microsoft Gaming when it was used, I want to say 25 years ago. God, I'm old.
Oh, yeah.
Back when it was in MechWarrior 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to see that. That's
because
offensive.
the logo looked like Microsoft fucking ME.
Yeah, it did.
Windows ME. Holy shit.
All
I'm
right.
old.
But this is a story to really think about. We are going to come back to this at some point in a future episode because I guarantee you, I will dollars to donuts say that this is going to come back up in the news soon. But just a few hours before this podcast was recorded, hi Internet, Bungie announced the final expansion for their live service game Destiny 2. Destiny 2 had a 9-year run, and Bungie has promised that much like the first Destiny, the servers will be kept online with a skeleton crew for anybody who wants to jump in and play the whole experience. This is bigger than you think it is. I know that back in the day when Tony used to be on the show,
era.
Tony, our other host, previous host that was on the show, Destiny was his life, and we jab at him a little bit because that's all he played. He was just a Destiny player.
He had one video game, and it's not like he didn't have a history of playing, but Destiny was his thing. It was his World of Warcraft.
I literally saw this news today, and I went to go grab my phone because I was like, man, I need to message that dude and be like, how you doing right now, man? Because this is tough. The fact of the matter is, Bungie has always loved what they have done with Destiny. And I know that we don't do a whole lot of hypotheticals when it comes to the news. I am just wondering, this is a me wondering thought, if this is not so much a Bungie decision as this is Bungie being owned by Sony decision. Where they're like, Destiny doesn't make enough money.
Yeah.
you need to move on to other projects.
I mean, between Destiny and Marathon, if I were Sony and I had paid that much money for Bungie,
They paid a metric fuck ton for Bungie.
I would want them working on something that is going to make us some money right now. If it were me, I'd be having them make a single player fucking Marathon game.
Yeah.
Or something like that. We're done with the live services. This is very obvious to just about everybody, including Sony and Microsoft. So, like, make a good game out of some of this IP. Bungie is just sitting there being the original creators of motherfucking Halo. Like, let them do something like that. Let them do something that everyone is going to find fun, something everyone will find interesting, and let it be a cool story, maybe with some multiplayer attached to it. You know, that's always good. But yeah, if I were Sony, I would want them off of Destiny like probably as soon as possible, and I'd want them starting to work on something that is going to sell copies. Yeah, not make $1 trillion in like several years, but like sell copies right now.
I will say, as somebody who Destiny was never my thing, I could never quite get into it. One of the things about this news was, I'm not going to lie, like, again, even though I did not play Destiny, the news hurt a little bit. Because I was like, this game was a big deal to a lot of people. I listened to some of my favorite online personalities talk about how much they loved to play it, how much they would keep coming back whenever there was a new expansion. And it was one of those things that, while it wasn't for me, I'm glad that people were having fun and enjoying it. Yeah. I was not poo-pooing on the Destiny community. I was just saying this isn't my jam, but I'm glad that you guys have one.
Yeah.
And they don't have one anymore. They're reaching the end of this,
yeah.
And Bungie has basically said, we have other projects we have to move on to. And I don't think any of those projects involve the words Destiny 3 in them.
No, certainly not.
Especially with the name of the new expansion, because it's like the celebration of something. It sounds definitively like this is the end of the story, at least for a while.
Yeah, if they were working on Destiny 3, we would all know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is it for Destiny. All right, so to wrap news up this week, we got a little chunk here to talk about real quick. Games Workshop held their annual Warhammer video game showcase this week. It was called Skulls, the Festival of Video Games. They do it every year. And we got a bunch of stuff to talk about, so we're going to kind of speed run some Warhammer news here.
Love me some Warhammer news.
All right. Dawn of War 4, the eagerly anticipated RTS game, got a release date of September 17th this year, and that there will be 4 factions to play at launch, with a 5th coming down the road as DLC. For launch, we'll have the Space Marines, Orcs, Necrons, and the Adeptus Mechanicus. That is
what is that word again?
Adeptus Mechanicus.
Okay.
And you would know it if you played some Warhammer.
Yeah.
That is some Warhammer lore, deep lore right there. So yeah, that's exciting. Honestly, of all the Warhammer games about to come out, I'm most excited for Dawn of War 4, because Dawn of War 3 was atrocious. The first 2, though, really fantastic. And I'm not even a huge Warhammer guy. You would think. I played a little bit back in the day, but BattleTech has always been kind of more my jam when it came to miniature wargaming. But I did play a little bit of Warhammer, and I definitely played a lot of it was called Space Hulk. It's the original 70s board game. I played a lot of that with my friends growing up. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's exciting. Really excited for Dawn of War 4.
Hell yeah. Not an RTS guy, but enough of a fan of Warhammer that I might give that a shot.
Yeah.
It sounds fun.
A new turn-based 40K game called Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Death Watch has been announced. It'll be out on multiple consoles as well as PC. A lot of the trailer for Death Watch actually kind of gave me those Space Hulk vibes. It is a turn-based. You will be playing the Space Marines of the Death Watch. They're a very specific faction, which you can judge by their name. Kind of have a bit of a dark side to them.
Yeah.
And you'll be fighting multiple factions in this game. You'll be fighting Tyranids. I want to say the Tau. Yeah, the Tau are going to be there. The Orcs are going to be there. It's going to be a blast if you dig turn-based battle. So we've got our real-time strategy. We got our turn-based. So, yeah, the trailer for this looks so fantastic, though. They are not my favorite faction of Space Marines. I'm a Dark Angels guy, but super excited for this one. Real quick, one of the most exciting announcements that came out is that Warhammer 40K is crossing over with Helldivers 2 for a unique war bond.
Fuck yeah.
And if you don't know the term war bond, that's essentially the
Battle Pass.
It's the Helldiver season pass. They did one. Their first ever and only crossover has actually was with Halo ODST.
Yep.
Which made sense because Helldivers and ODST are basically the same thing. But yes, we're getting Warhammer 40K in Helldivers, and I gotta say, of all the live service quote unquote games that I play on the regular, obviously we play Rivals and things like that. I come back to Helldivers once every 3 or 4 months.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's fun just to get a few rounds in, to do a few dives. I feel the same way about it that I do about Deep Rock Galactic. Like, it's just, it's worth showing up every couple months just to, like, get on with the boys, man, and, like, have a couple fun nights and just and you're in for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah,
you know?
we're not worrying about losing rank in Rivals or anything.
No.
It's just we're more worried about shooting each other in the back.
Yo, friendly fire, y'all.
Yeah, we got a few more to knock out here. Bolt Gun 2.
Fuck yes.
The old school Doom-like
Very
of the 40K
much a
universe.
Bolt Gun 1 fan have played it. Very, very good game.
Really,
Boomer shooter.
the biggest announcement that we have for this is that Bolt Gun 2, the demo for it went on Steam today.
Yeah.
So that means this game is going to be coming out pretty soon. I think they're saying it's like 2 or 3 times the weapons as the first bolt gun.
Fuck yeah.
When I say
you can change your champion. Yeah. This is the big deal.
Oh,
because
go
the
for
first
it.
game felt like it was built to have more than one main character, and now there is more than one. All my dreams came true. Like this is all my Christmases at once for boomer shooter. Like life is Warhammer 40K, but like a bigger boomer shooter with multiple character classes I can play as. Shove it right into my veins. Like, God, this is gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, everything about this looks. I never finished the original bolt gun, but I did have a really good time with it. It is like surprisingly massive.
Tons of levels.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's see here. We're almost done. There was something called the free Purgaton update for Space Marine 2. Ooh. So this update, kind of a big. This game came out 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think about
ish. You and I played through Space Marine 2 co-op together.
Yeah.
Had
Well,
a
we should have
blast.
played more of the multiplayer stuff, which maybe we should jump back on and do.
Yeah, we got some friends that want to play with us.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, this game came out. It's mostly a single player game with like fun, like not really. There are.
You can go through the campaign co-op, and there are specific co-op missions.
Yeah.
But there is a big single-player campaign that you can do all by yourself. Man, what a fun game.
Yeah. So the new update includes a new PvE mission, several updates to the siege mode. It has new weapons and armor sets that you can pick up. Again, this is just like a free update from what I understand. That just came out and they're just like, here you go, keep playing our game. Thumbs up. This game has always felt like a relic of, and I mean this in a positive way, of the Xbox 360-ish era, where a single player just came out with some minor multiplayer components. It didn't have egregious cost DLC to it. It was just like, yeah, we're going to support the game for the next couple of years, and we'll put out a couple fun skin packs and whatnot while we work on the next one. But it is as far in terms, there was like one DLC they came out with at one point over the last couple of years. I want to say it was a voice pack or something. And it was just the entire community said, hey man, this DLC is egregious and we're going to kind of like rally against your game. And they said, you know what? All of you are absolutely right. We are going to refund everybody who bought this pack. And also here's some bonus stuff for y'all. We are sorry we fucked up.
Yeah. And you know what? You love to see it. There's just people listening.
So really, there's a bunch of other little crossovers and news that we don't need to dive into. Like there's a new playable class in Dark Tide 2 that's coming out.
Do I need to pull up Dark Tide again? Shit.
I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be a big year to be a Warhammer fan.
I am a non-Warhammer player person. I have never once played any Warhammer whatsoever. And when you guys discuss it, and even like when I've like come across it on Steam and I've started going down the Warhammer rabbit hole or whatever, it honestly feels like there's a parallel universe where every game was Warhammer. Because there's like, it feels like, okay, when there's a new Halo out, it comes out like once every 5 years and it's a fucking event. And this feels like there's been hundreds of Halos made, you know, like hundreds and hundreds of these games. So yes, explain that, answer that.
So the reason for that is that the Warhammer 40K universe, or the Warhammer universe, both fantasy and 40K, because there's two different realities, are a big deal in tabletop gaming. Obviously, people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy the miniatures and play the miniature board game and do all that
Paint
stuff.
them and
Nobody paints their miniatures. We just know that, right? I know 5 people out of the hundreds I know that play Warhammer that paint their miniatures.
But that's the stereotype.
The stereotype is that they'd never paint their miniatures. Trust me. But, and I say this from like a BattleTech perspective because we forget to paint ours too. But the thing about the Warhammer universe and kind of the brilliant thing that Games Workshop did for a long time, and also kind of to their detriment, is they made the cost of licensing Warhammer extremely cheap. They were basically just like, hey, man, we're just going to get the X cut of profits from whatever game you make, and you have to have like an initial buy-in, but it was so low. Literally hundreds of studios bought in and made Warhammer games.
Okay.
And so,
yeah, you know how everyone would love to make a Star Wars game, but you have to buy the license from Disney? The Warhammer is the cheap one.
That makes sense. That solves a lot of this in my brain.
It's like $10.
Why is Radiohead in every movie soundtrack, right? Or Moby, for that matter? Because it's hard to sell albums with that kind of music, but it goes great in licensed movies.
Yep.
All
so
right.
That's the reason.
It's not like one studio making hundreds and hundreds. Okay.
Nope.
There are those studios. There are studios who specifically only make games with the Warhammer license.
Yes, but fun fact, in recent years, Games Workshop is a company that created Warhammer, has actually dialed that back a little bit and has become a little bit more strict on their licensing for Warhammer. It's still better than a lot of other IPs, but they've tightened the reins a little bit because they want a little bit of quality control on what Warhammer titles are being released.
To me, the average Warhammer game is still better than the average Star Wars game, just for what that's worth.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we have really great Star Wars games like Jedi Survivor, but we also have games like Star Wars Outlaws that come out. And that was just it fucking unforgivable for that kind of money, for that kind of prestige, for that kind of license to make a game like that. Whereas, you know, someone makes a Space Marine 2, and that's, you know, a AA game with all the properties and love and attention of a AAA adventure coming out the gate for under AAA price. Like, this is what the reality should be. And it happens a lot with Warhammer. And hardly ever happens with Star Wars. You know how many Star Wars 4-player co-op like shooters I would buy? but they're too, I don't know, man.
Few and far between. But speaking of Star Wars, that's everything that we have for the news this week. But stick with us as we get into our main topic in the boss room.
He said, boss room.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. It's time for the Boss Room, sometimes related to the news, sometimes not. This is the part of the show where we can dive deeper into our opinions on things, like this week's topic, Maul Shadow Lord. So, if you were unaware of this show, Maul Shadow Lord is the most recent animated Star Wars series to drop on Disney Plus and is about Darth Maul, just called Maul now, because he's cut ties to the Empire. He's working on building his criminal syndicate on the planet Janex, where he runs into a young Jedi on the run from the Empire. Now, cool thing about this, the voice of Maul is Sam Witwer, who actually also played Starkiller in the Force Unleashed game. He stated originally when this series was coming out that this was going to be a story that would not require Star Wars homework. Like, you had to have a basic understanding of Star Wars.
Right.
But you didn't need to watch a bazillion Star Wars to watch Maul. And could very much stand alone. And if you haven't seen it, It has a very unique art style with everything from CG images to literally them painting scenes on glass for the backgrounds or even canvas and using those on top of the CG. And I'm sure John will find lots of video for us while we're doing this. So the series is over. And before we get started, I think it's safe to say that we think that it is worth your time to go and see this.
Yes, watch Maul.
Yeah.
Do it if you care about Star Wars at all. Even if you don't, honestly, it's just a good spectacle. It's what most people would want from Star Wars. If you're like, I really wish they would just fucking get to the lightsaber fights. This is your show. This is the one. Lightsaber fights everywhere. Lightsabers everywhere. The good and the good and the bad, and the light and the dark and the Force and all of that. This is it right here. You know, no one's worried about politics. No one's worried about socialism or the Empire or superstar destroyers or no one's de-aging Mark Hamill. This is just good Star Wars story told well about a character you already know about but don't know enough about. Right. And you get a really great characterization of this Sith Lord cast aside by their master for no other reason than their master is a fucking coward. And that fucking coward happens to run the entire galaxy. And and you have issues with that. What an amazing way to frame a story like this. Like to give someone an outcast and then give them a Jedi who they are trying to manipulate into being a Sith with them, to be their apprentice, knowing full well that their master betrayed them and wanting to literally do better while still being a Sith. But oh man, it's conflicted, it's complicated, it's wonderful writing. The voice acting is great. The art is beautiful.
So I have a couple things for us to kind of dive into a little bit. The first thing I want to talk about Maul Shadow Lord is the art. Because this is a very unique show. There were some great articles that were written about how the art was created for this. Again, it's a multi medium show. Parts of it are CG, parts of it are done through canvas, prints. Some of the scenes are done on literally painted glass that they used as part of the background. At one point I was watching the show, and one of the reasons I know so much about the art is I was watching one of the episodes, and the background was so gorgeous, but I noticed the smoke in the background isn't moving. Why? And so I went to look it up because it was so beautiful, and I was like, oh, well, this was done on painted glass, and it just really it's a very cyberpunk show, like in terms of the way that it looks.
Yeah. That kind of Coruscant level of Star Wars that you get.
But not even just things like the painted glass that they did things on. When Maul is shown, and Maul is done in CG, his face looks like it's watercolor.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. And it's hauntingly beautiful how well they took it. Think about it. It's not quite on the level of, but think of it kind of on the level of Into the Spider-Verse.
Right.
Because if you didn't know, in Into the Spider-Verse, all of the Spider-Mans, they all have a different art style to them. Some of them are in a different frame rate. Some of them look very different.
Still all animated in Kirby dots, which is, God, what a brilliant thing. We'll get to that when the next one comes out.
But like Maul alone, when he's shown on screen, to animate a watercolor was so impressive to watch. I'm normally to be fair, I'm my ADHD. I'm normally multitasking whenever I'm kind of watching something. I've got my Steam Deck or something. But whenever I watch the first episode of something, I always commit fully to it. I know I put down all my screens. First episode of something lets me know where I'm going to be with it. And I watched the first episode of Maul, and then I think I watched the next 3 episodes of Maul. I didn't touch a second screen. I was just here being like, wow, what is this universe that I'm in? And to start off with, it was the art that got me there.
Hell yeah.
Next thing I want to make up is part of the story, which is this is about, ostensibly, criminals versus the Empire. Maul had me thinking, little deeply, maybe. I got a little bit in my feels when I was thinking about things.
Mm-hmm.
When a fascist regime takes over a country or a galaxy, many people that exist in that area will either bend the knee or commit to an act of rebellion. And these are things that fundamentally change who you are as an individual. You were never a rebel before, but you are now. You were never a fascist before, but you are now. But bear with me as I get a little deep on this. But when a fascist regime runs up people who were criminals before, who remain criminals after the fascists have taken over, those might be the most pure individuals because they have committed to the life that they wanted to live. They refused to sell out to a fascist regime because they refused to sell out to the Republic before that.
Yeah.
Their cause is for themselves and in a way is the most pure thing that one can do. And that is what we are watching in this show.
Oh yeah, like there's when governments and empires rise and fall. If you're a pirate who makes their living selling goods and people and tradecraft to different governments, you're not really giving a shit about who's in charge of what. But at a certain point, you make the decision that I cannot go there with you on this. I cannot help you anymore. And suddenly, like finding out who you are and where you are in that situation makes for some really fucking great storytelling. Mm-hmm. It really does. I like to think about when it came to this series, the nature of what a criminal is. Mm-hmm. Considering this is post Order 66, this is post, the Palpatine's takeover of the Republic, which is now the first Galactic Empire. And we have two Jedi who are what you think are the focal point of the story when the story starts because they're criminals. They're on the lam. They're running from the Empire. If the Empire ever sees them, they would take them into custody, question them, and kill them. Mm-hmm. But like that is all that will happen to them. There is no world in which that doesn't happen. So they avoid the Empire. The Empire is the authority, the police, the infrastructure, the buildings, the commerce. It's all the Empire now. And now you are just a criminal. So are the Jedi bad guys? Were they ever? I mean, obviously they have their faults like you can find with anything else. But what made them a criminal other than the label of someone who didn't want them around, who felt threatened by them? I thought about that a lot as this went on because it wasn't just that the Jedi were criminals. Maul was too. Even though Maul's a Sith. Maul is ideologically aligned with the Emperor maybe closer than anybody else, having been his apprentice. But he's also a criminal because the Emperor deems it so. Because he casts him aside in favor of something stronger. And I don't know, there's a lot to be said there.
I think you actually rolled right into what my next point that I wanted to talk about with Maul is that there are many Star Wars stories that the lines of good and evil are very blatant. Look at the color of the lightsaber. You can usually determine where somebody is.
Everything else in red.
Maul is, in my opinion, ostensibly about the gray area that all of these characters are having to live in. So let me break it down for you. Maul, who was a Sith and is now a criminal, lives in a more gray area because he has to live in a society that is going to hunt and kill him. Mm-hmm. If the Emperor knows that he's there, the Inquisitors will come after him. He will be dead. So he has to live in a gray area. You have two Jedi who are on the run, like you just said, and they live in a gray area because while you would think that they're the good guys, in this fascist regime, they are deemed criminals and therefore must slide through the cracks of society to live and survive. But what we haven't talked about yet is the B plot characters. So we have a couple of B plot characters that are not Jedi, that are not Sith. You have Captain Brander Lawson and his son Riley Lawson. This is a father who is a cop,
Yep.
and his kid who is neglected because his parents have separated. His dad works on the Force all the time. It is kind of one of the most relatable Star Wars stories ever.
Yeah,
Really.
just to flesh that out a little bit, the boy is at home and he's kind of a sports star there at school, but his father is a local police officer and his mother left to go work for the Empire, which his father could not follow her through because he does not like the Empire, and on the planet there is no Empire yet.
Right. And so they were accompanied by Two Boots, played by the ever brilliant Richard Ayoade. And Two Boots is the protocol police droid.
Yeah, he's a fucking droid, man.
He's a cab for droids. Everything is, by the book. Got to do it.
Got to follow the rules. It don't matter if I can clearly see how this is bad. Frankly, it's protocol.
And so this B-side story happens where Jedi are seen, and in a post Order 66 world, that means the Empire shows up. Mm-hmm. And so the Empire shows up, and suddenly this head of the police force has to make the decision, like, am I going to let the Empire come in here and start stomping around our city, our planet, our etc.? And so the B plot of this little kid and his dad get caught up with the Jedi, who are in turn caught up with Maul.
Yep.
Because Maul meets this young Jedi girl and says, you know what, this could be my new apprentice.
Yep. Got all the potential.
Yeah, like all the potential in the world. And that kind of sets the stage for the entire show going forward. But going back to my original point, a lot of this show exists in gray area, right? They're technically all criminals, but they're criminals against the fascist empire. Mm-hmm. So, like, what does that make you then? Because they're not trying to be rebels. Maul's definitely not trying to pick up a blue lightsaber.
No, fuck no. It's antithetical to everything he is.
And he doesn't even try and turn the Jedi in a Sith kind of way.
No. And that was the most brilliant part.
They engage in philosophical discussions about what it means to wield power while there's an entire fascist regime trying to come down on you.
Right. The most of the coercion comes in the form of, you don't have to be alone. You and I could be together. Straight up, we are of a kind. We are both force sensitive. We are both trained with a lightsaber. I could show you a different way, a way that I survive, because I don't think you have what it takes to survive. And in all of this young Jedi that Maul is talking to has a master, beautifully voice acted by Dennis Haysbert, one of my favorite actors. He was, if anyone doesn't know, he was the president around 24. Just fantastic fucking actor, excellent voice work for him. And this man is just cool as a cucumber. He is the chillest turtle there ever was. And he wants his Padawan to have patience. And like most Padawans and like most beings, it's hard to have patience when you're being shot at, and in the face of fascism, and in the face of brutal annexation from society as a whole. Mm-hmm. Whereas Maul comes in and says, no, let me show you how to survive. We can get through this together. Mm-hmm. Versus her master, who has nothing but platitudes, and frankly, at the beginning of the first episode, allows her to be arrested because he thinks she might deserve it a little.
Yep.
It's fucked up. It's I always love when the flaws of the Jedi are on full display, because it really breaks up the dichotomy of good, bad, and brings in more of the nuance of like, what is pacifism in the face of action? Right. Like what is self-defense and how much of it is allowed? One of my favorite phrases these days is, violence has no place in politics, but name me a non-violent resolution that ever got any real change. You know what I mean? And this seems to be the conversation taking place at the core of the show, which it really tickles me. I love it. I love it so much.
So now we've talked a little bit about the show itself. We're going to get into like definitely one of the biggest spoiler of it. But again, you should watch it no matter what we say. We need to talk about the Vader in the room. Because this show did something unexpected, and it put Maul against Vader.
Mm-hmm.
There's this thing that I've been really enjoying about recent Star Wars media, where, and this is specifically because you and I played the Jedi Survivor games, and we're also seeing it show up in Maul, where there is a reverence for Vader. Now, why am I saying that, and why do I think the prequels don't have that? The prequels were about Anakin. We only got Vader at the last little bit of it. Newer media, like Rogue One, we get to see Vader just stomping down a hall, murdering a whole bunch of motherfuckers. Like, Vader is treated as the Dark Lord of the Sith. He has a reverence to him. In Jedi Survivor, when he shows up and his theme plays, you are terrified because you know, not your character, but you as the player, if you have any knowledge of Star Wars, know I can't beat that.
Right.
Because in the lore, he wasn't beaten. And so when he shows up in Maul, he shows up with that same gravitas and that same like weight to him. Because we all want to see Maul fight Vader, but we all know if it goes down to the killing blow, he's going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And they did such a good job of representing him. Like, he was a terrifying... And I think it was episode 9 he's introduced. And I was like, obviously they're going to do what they did in Jedi Survivor, right? He's just going to run away and, like, that'll be the end of it. It was this cool cameo at the end of episode 9. No, man. Like, the end of... most of episode 10, the final episode, is, like, them having to deal with Vader to get the fuck out. And it is so good, and just you feel like you're rooting for Maul the whole time.
You are. So you have this thing with the Inquisitors, right? And up until episode 10, you have them being hunted by, at first, a very low-level Inquisitor, and then the low-level Inquisitor calls in their, like, master, and you think, oh, man, this is the guy.
If you're unfamiliar with the Inquisitors, by the way, they're a thing that existed in the Empire that were, like, quote-unquote not Jedi.
Yeah, they're Jedi hunters.
Yeah,
They're people who were very quickly shown to have Force prominence, but they quick and dirtied all of their education. They gave them a lightsaber that looks incredibly threatening, but any Jedi worth their salt could defeat in 5 seconds. They straight up tried to mass produce this thing with a feat of engineering rather than giving them the skills they needed to actually fight a real Jedi. And the reason they did this is because most of the Jedi left were children. Nearly every master died at the hands of the clone army that was protecting them during the war. So, they basically sent children with heavy weapons to kill children without heavy weapons. And that's what an Inquisitor is. And then the Inquisitor gets their more Force-sensitive, more powerful man to come in. And then now they're fighting and trying to take out the 2 Jedi because they find out the Jedi has a master. Oh, no. And then they fight the 2 of them in Maul.
Now we can talk about the Crow. My favorite character.
Crow's pretty badass.
I would cosplay this motherfucker. He is so good. The Crow has shown up in other things. He shows up against Ahsoka, which is where I think he dies in a much later Star Wars thing. But this is kind of the origin of the Crow character. And he is terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he is up there with Vader levels of just like, oh, God, if I saw that staring back at me, I would run.
Yeah, no, the Crow shows up, and again, now we have 2 Inquisitors fighting a Jedi and a Jedi Master, and the Inquisitors they're doing it, but they're not really up to the task. And suddenly, like we said, with KG alliances, we have the entire Empire invading the planet, and who are they there to kill? Maul and the Jedi Master. So now we have a team up, and what do they do when they team up? They call in Daddy.
Yeah. And by the way, just so you know, the Crow is not his official name. That's what they called him internally. He's actually just referred to as the 11th brother.
Right. Just one of the. There are sisters and brothers all throughout the Inquisitors and the Inquisition in general. The Crow is just one of them.
Yeah.
But when they find out Maul is on the planet, that is the Padawan of the Emperor himself. That is the apprentice to Darth fucking Sidious, Lord Emperor Palpatine. So who comes to kill him? None other than the current apprentice to Lord Emperor Palpatine, the Dark Lord of all Sith, Lord Vader, who we find out and is, you know what, they always do such a good job with this, but there is a logic and a consistency to the combat in Star Wars. There is literally a way it is supposed to flow based on the weapon you have, based on the arts that you have, based on what you're up against, and everything else comes down to moxie. But when you fight Darth Vader, you are fighting a slow, one-armed refrigerator with a lightsaber that will fucking kill you.
That's what I was going to ask you guys is, are the fight sequences like that old school passionate fighting, or is it a hip hop coordination sequence?
It is
both, because the Star Wars universe is both. You have Maul flipping around like a crazy person with, I don't know, like 9 feet of lightsaber in front of him, making it look like the entire sky bleeds red, fighting Darth Vader, who looks like he's wielding a broadsword with one hand and the Force with the other, whooping his ass.
One of the most funny parts of the early episodes of Maul is, so the Inquisitors, a lot of them have this weird double lightsaber. So Maul has a double lightsaber, but it's all straight, right?
Right.
The Inquisitors have this one that's kind of circular. So there's the handle,
Right.
and it's got a circle around it, and they can
And it spins.
They make it spin.
Yeah, it's an incredible feat of engineering. Lightsabers aren't supposed to do this, but it's a single hand component with a circle around it, and lightsabers coming out of the circle.
Yeah.
The circle spins, so they can make a fucking helicopter out of it. They can literally float in the air because of how quickly it spins.
Yeah.
It's insane. But also, any Jedi with any training whatsoever, with their lightsaber being an extension of their own body through the Force, would simply cut the circle out from between their hands and end that Inquisitor's life in a second, but they're not fighting trained Jedi.
Yeah.
They're
So
fighting children.
they're on this train scene, and this Inquisitor, because they do it to be threatening, he starts up the helicopter dick lightsaber motion, and it's supposed to be threatening because it's 2 blades spinning really fast. And then Maul just activates the second part of his lightsaber to be like, hey, I've got 2 blades too, motherfucker.
Right? Like,
And
we
it's
got
like-
this.
It's funny, but it's also like intimidating, and it's just like, it's such a beautifully choreographed scene.
Well, yeah, to me, it's Maul looking at 2 Inquisitors and going, like, I fought Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn at the same time, and I killed one of them.
Right.
And you two are coming after me with this bullshit.
Yep. Yeah, so that's a lot of the stuff that I kind of really wanted to cover about this. It's a very fascinating show. I'm pretty sure it is going to get a season 2 based on all the things that we talk about it.
Man, I hope so.
Before we wrap up this thing, let's talk about just kind of our final thoughts on it real quick.
Yeah, I mean, again, I loved it. The art was incredible. The voice acting was fantastic. I love them keeping all of the voice actors, the legacy voice actors, and the new ones. The writing has been fantastic. The way that they place like, it seems like they're not afraid to go places anymore when it comes to like rebellion and what is appropriate. And instead, they're just telling very human stories about people like under the thumb of an oppressive like regime and what they do, including the people who work for it. Just very human stories. Again, in the vein of Andor, in the vein of like stuff like, you know, the more modern Ahsoka and stuff like that. Like, we're getting good Star Wars, man, and I'm all about good Star Wars. I don't know anything about the Mandalorian and Grogu coming out soon, and I haven't heard great things, but I know that Star Wars TV right now looks great. When it comes to stuff like Maul and Legends and the other stuff we've been getting. So, yeah, man, I can't wait for a second season.
Here's what I have to say about it, and I think this kind of summarizes it because we did talk about Andor extensively on this show. In my own personal Discord, I keep a running spoilers channel for whatever nerd stuff that we're watching. And when I got done watching Maul, all I could say was, I think this is the best thing that I've seen in Star Wars since Andor. And Andor to me is the pinnacle of Star Wars. Everybody can be like, it's Empire Strikes Back. Sure, I totally understand. Empire, very rock solid. Some people would say Episode 8, very in the newer media, might be one of the pinnacles of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Contentious opinion, but I could see where you're coming from. It's a great movie. But Andor, I know that this makes me a bad Star Wars fan, but the less lightsabers that are in a Star Wars story, the more I enjoy it.
Sure.
And so I think that there's very human stories to be told in the Star Wars universe that do not require Jedi, because Jedi are supposed to be a rare thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's something that like shows like Andor would do, or even just like in the early seasons of The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah,
Where,
yeah.
like,
Like, we didn't get a Darksaber until the end of season 1, and even then, there's not like any Jedi showed up doing Jedi shit, except for like one thing and then they left.
Well, it isn't even just a Jedi. It's like they did a thing where like an AT-AT, a singular AT-AT
Oh, it was a threat.
would show up, and you're like, oh, wow, that one machine. We've seen hundreds of them in a Star Wars movie, but Star Wars movies are about wars, and you expect to see hundreds of them.
Yeah.
When you see it in the TV show and just one shows up.
Yeah, it's like a tank versus a fishing village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, man, that's terrifying. And I think that there were parts of Maul that had that kind of gravitas to them, even if the AT-AT or AT-ST in this instance was just Vader showing up. And you're like, oh, you're all fucked. You gotta get out right
No, you
now.
need to run. Everyone run.
Yeah. So I think that what we can say definitively here is that even though we spoiled a little bit of it, we have not gotten deep into the story at all. You're just gonna have to watch the story. This was a big overview of the whole thing, but
Yeah, we haven't even nearly done it justice. Please put it on. It's not even that many episodes, and they're all about half an hour.
Yeah.
Good.
definitely worth your time. All right, that's everything that we have in the boss room, but stick with us as we get into what we've been doing in the epilogue.
Epilogue.
Welcome to the epilogue. It is time to dive into what we've been up to this week, what we've been playing, what we've been watching, what has been occupying our free time, and most importantly, what has been making us happy. John, as always, why don't we start with you? What have you been doing?
Well, as you know, the last several weeks I've been exceptionally busy with several clients, and I've been, making myself.
I did hear that your escort service is taking off.
Oh, I wish. God, maybe OnlyFans is the answer. No, as you know, I've been making myself a little dumber in my free time, reading Futurama, Simpsons, Bart Simpson comics. Kind of one after the other. I've been rotating them because they're all on my tablet, and they're fun, and they're cute, and they're interesting. Mm-hmm. And as a part of this theme of just shutting my brain completely off outside of work, I started watching Sunny in Philadelphia again. I've seen it before, and inadvertently, this kind of sparked those old skeptic feelings again, because I forgot, even though, for the record, I made an entire video on the subject of how Sunny in Philadelphia is basically a fantastic science communication vehicle. Like, if you watch it, it does science communication better than most science conferences I have ever seen in my entire life. And so I started, throwing on random episodes here and there. At the same time, one of my clients I've been working for is Ben Radford of the Skeptical Inquirer, cryptozoologist, researcher, a skeptic, science communicator. So sorry, folks, there's no such thing as chupacabra.
Yeah, sorry.
And it's just like ignited those old feelings in me, and on top of that, I have also been getting back into A-Shape, which has been a long time. I literally bought myself an early birthday present, a dip bar stand, and I've been doing that. And I'm trying to get back into shape because in a few weeks I am going to be putting myself back on camera for a video I've been working on forever, for the YouTubes. And yeah, it feels like a good time. Like everything's kind of coming together, gelling perfectly, coalescing. And yes, I need to get back to that angry comedic skeptic state again. And Sunny in Philadelphia has really inspired that. And for the record, if you out there are not familiar with it, or you are familiar with it, but it doesn't quite register to you as a skeptical show, go back and watch it again and see what they do to like pyramid schemes, to the secret vision boards, to psychics. Like they really take dead aim at bullshit, and it's beautiful.
So just to be fair, they are famously responsible for that episode where science is a liar sometimes.
Yeah, but
And,
in my mind, that was like this.
No. You're yes, of course. To someone who gets it, perfect satire.
Yeah.
Absolutely top tier, uncanny satire. Like, wow, this is exactly what they're like. To someone unfamiliar with these arguments, all I heard from people was, you know what, they really fucking have a point.
Well,
And that terrified me.
the only my response to that is one of the principles I genuinely live by, which is the only kind of comedy or satire or sarcasm worth doing is that which risks being taken seriously.
Would you like to know more?
Which is why we all stand Verhoeven in this house.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, we do support our friends getting back into good shape.
Absolutely.
We support positive health, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad that you're doing
Even
it.
though my wife hates it because I've been really restricting my diet, and she loves to cook, and
She's a fantastic cook.
She is a fantastic cook.
she's good, and everybody says that about their wife. Like, oh, my wife's a good cook. No, like Emily could probably.
She's not my
She's,
wife.
she's not my anything, but she's
Like, if you-
fantastic. All the food she brings over is amazing.
I'm just saying, like, if you threw her into a restaurant kitchen scenario tonight, and you're like, you're our fucking sous chef, she could do it. You know, like she is an exceptional cook, and I recognize that as somebody who lived in L.A. most of their adult life in some of the finest restaurants ever. I know what good food is, but I am avoiding that right now. And
As a note, Good Night and Good Game does not condone you throwing your wife into a kitchen.
No.
no,
Or
do
food
not-
from LA.
No.
Or food from LA.
No,
or
and I'm-
LA people.
And I'm trying to keep my wife out of the kitchen, which is frustrating her. But I've been sticking to mostly salads, eggs, and veggies.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
job, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Hector, what have you been up to?
Oh man, so much. Let's see. I can't even remember what I talked about last time to make sure that we're caught back up. I am fully back on my bullshit, which means I'm playing Crimson Desert again. I finished a couple of other games. Pragmata came out. I played that. I dabbled in a little bit of other stuff, but I'm right back on Crimson Desert. Why? Because a little thing called the Steam controller came out. And oh man, is this thing my favorite new thing.
I do want one.
How did you get it?
I sat on the internet the very second it came out, and I spammed the buy button until they sold me one.
Wow.
Which, from what I understand, is the only way to have gotten one.
Yep.
Um,
they are sold
Because a
out.
lot of people tried 5 minutes after they came out, and nobody got one.
I'm sorry, but I didn't see a single picture of this on our chat groups.
Oh, the Steam controller?
Oh,
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
him
No,
and
but
Ross
me and
got
Ross
it.
have one.
Okay.
It is one of the most easily and friendly customizable fucking controllers ever. I have some issues with the controls in Crimson Desert because there are too many things you can do all the time, and there are only 14 buttons on a controller. Well, not only does a Steam controller have way fucking more than 14 buttons, but I can literally open a menu, completely separate from the video game itself. Look at my controller, look at every button, and tell that button what I want it to do.
God, that's beautiful.
Whether it's clicking exactly what it is, or it's an extra button that I want to press 2 buttons at once if I want it to, because there's a command where I have to press 2 buttons, but I don't want to press 2 buttons. I want to press 1, and there it is. Or just extra versions of the buttons I already have that I find cumbersome to press. I need all of that. I need all of it for Crimson Desert because it's too much game.
I can't tell you how much the first BioShock like crippled me for the vast majority of gaming, because its controllers were so poorly set up, and
That game came out in 2006. We were still trying to figure out how to make first-person shooters
but I'm like,
on controllers.
Why can't I just tell it what to do?
I will say that as somebody who was not good enough of a human being to own a Steam controller, I will say you're forgetting the biggest thing. That's the most interesting thing about the Steam controller is not just the controller itself and how different it is than the average controller, but it's that is on Steam, community members can make custom button maps for ways that they play the game
and publish them.
And you can publish them and just download them. And it's like,
and there's an upvote system. So the really popular ones rise to the top. And it's like, oh, this is the best way to play this game.
Yep. What else you been playing?
Oh man. Obviously we've been playing some Rivals.
Yep.
I recently
New season.
Yeah, new season.
Having a
new
good time.
battle pass.
Last season, not a big fan. This season,
This season, we're getting really good characters. I'm still not a big fan of this battle pass. There's like one skin in it I care about, but it's that I'm getting pretty used to.
But we
that,
have a
to be
Devil
honest.
Dinosaur now.
But we do have Devil Dinosaur, and we're gonna get Cyclops,
which
so
is like
that is exciting.
Who is the worst Summers brother out of the 3, and Vulcan exists.
Oh man, but let's see. That's all about Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core. Their version of a level-based roguelite just came out, and I have done the tutorial and played one game of it, and it was fucking awesome, and I can't wait to drag all my friends into it. Obviously, we saw Shark versus Ninja.
We did. So here's
Yeah.
the deal. So to spoil it, this week my birthday, and so I originally in our friends group we do blocks of movies, and I am the one who gets to take over for the Halloween block. But this year I was like, hey guys, because my birthday is halfway to Halloween, what if you let me get a mini block? And so what I did was I picked 4 movies, one for each of the regulars of our Wednesday movie group. So the first one that we watched was Good Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Good Boy is only an hour long. It's on Shudder.
Yeah.
Most of these on Shudder.
Yeah. Horror movie from the viewpoint of a dog. Do recommend.
Yeah. So Good Boy, just a horror movie from the viewpoint of the dog. I felt things
Oh yeah.
and was kind of upset in lots of ways. And don't worry, for those of you who are worried, the dog lives.
Mhm.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
like,
That
dog lives.
nothing bad happened to
This
the
is that
dog.
dog.
You can watch this movie and enjoy that fact.
Yeah. But the thing, when you figure out what the thing is that the dog is terrified of, it is more terrifying than any demon they could have put on screen.
Oh yeah, no, it hits.
You're like, oh, that's too fucking real, bro. Why did you do it? But for our friend Ross's entry, we picked Ninja versus Shark.
Yeah,
And
Ninja
so
versus Shark.
I picked this because specifically, when I picked the first one, it was for Erin because they own golden retrievers, and this was a dog related movie, so I picked that. Also, she doesn't do big spookers, so
Right.
I was like, that's a good one. Ninja vs. Shark is our friend Ross because he loves creature features. The cheesiest creature feature you can come up with, he wants it. And I was like, well, Ninja vs. Shark. And Ninja vs. Shark is like weirdly a deeper movie than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like the amount of backstory that goes into establishing like this ninja clan and like this village. I will say there's a lot of essay at the very beginning. that
There's a lot of essay just in general.
You gotta like you gotta get past that.
It's Japanese that way.
stuff-
Not to
yeah,
be rude.
Yeah,
but
we're not saying
to be
that
fair.
we're approving of. We're just saying that like that's a thing.
Yeah.
That they're like, hey, it's a It's like a George R. R. Martin argument. It's like, it was,
like not to be mean. Please never forget a small part of my heritage, but saying there's a lot of essay in a Japanese movie is kind of like saying there's a lot of dancing in a movie from India. They're just kind of like that.
So, Ninja versus Shark is surprisingly well done. It's very cheesy. Do not expect quality here.
Do you think it should have been called Samurai versus Shark?
No, it's-
considering all
No,
it
the-
they
is-
are
it is
definitely not
definitely a
samurai.
ninja.
They are ninja.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's-
There's not a samurai in the
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
anywhere for,
Yeah,
for,
it
for
is- it is-
miles around.
They are using ninja magic specifically in that movie.
Well, they're also all dressed like ninja and look like ninja and have nothing to do with ever being a samurai.
Yeah, we were
Sorry,
we were joking about one of the female characters just looking like Taki from Soul Calibur.
Oh, yeah.
And then she pulls out 2 daggers, and we're like, oh, I guess we're in the
Yep,
stereotype.
there we are.
Yeah. So yeah, we watched Ninja versus Shark.
Yeah, Ninja versus Shark. That's pretty much all I got, man. I don't have a lot of movies recently. I'm trying true hard. Nothing's coming to mind, so it couldn't have been that important.
All right, let me jump into it then. We already talked Ninja versus Shark. We already talked about Good Boy. Both available on Shudder.
Yep. Oh,
Both
so
fantastic.
to look forward to next time, we'll have both watched all of the final season of The Boys.
Yeah, we will talk.
So
about
so
Ooh.
we'll talk about that one.
Yeah. So what I want to do is kind of go in reverse. I have only 2 things to talk about because we've already talked about the other stuff. Very briefly, I want to mention that I started the game Pragmata.
Yes.
So this is the Capcom game. People are jokingly calling it Dad Space.
Dead Space.
And that's you are a software engineer who lands on the moon on the lunar colony, and everything has gone to shit. But it's not a spooker. It's an action game.
That's scary. Attacked by robots, not zombies.
Yep. And you find this little android girl, and she has to hack things for you because you're not a hacker. And this game is fascinating. A, it's gorgeous. B, it's very respectful of your time. I can get through a chapter in a couple of hours, and there are not that many chapters.
I think my first playthrough took me like 10 hours, and I like scraped the walls to do everything.
Yeah. And the cutscenes, while beautiful, are very minimal. They last like 30 seconds to a minute max. They get you right back into the action. You care about the characters. It's a blast. It's fun. It's
Such a good
like I know
time.
that it's weird to just be like, I played a game and it was fun, but you don't understand. Like, this is a fucking fun game.
Yeah.
Like, I never feel like I'm stressed out in the combat. I've never really had to repeat a boss more than once. I go and I learn its pattern in that one match. And I'm like, all right, cool. We did it. And I care for the characters. Like, you're this engineer caring for a robot little girl, and you care about them.
Yeah. My favorite thing about the game, and this isn't really a spoiler at all, is that your character is not a parent.
No.
Very specifically, they are not a parent. They are working in space.
Also, he was an orphan.
Yeah. With a roots on Earth, and he comes across a robot that helps him survive this fucking crazy shit that's going on this moon base, and the fact that it's a little girl just kind of makes him more fun. It lets him add levity to the horrifying fucking situation that he's in. And the funny thing is that the little girl, the robot, the AI, is learning the entire time and very curious about what it means for a human to react this way to things. All from the perspective of, like an 8-year-old. It's very, very, very cool and touching at multiple times. It can be really beautiful, and by God, is it some of the most refreshing gameplay I've played in forever.
Yeah, a lot of fun with it, having a blast. The last thing I want to talk about, I'm going to try and not spend too long on it, but I wrapped up because this year my theme for my games is games that I said I was never going to play. And my last game that I said I was never going to play and ended up playing it was Nier Automaton. Nier Automaton is probably one of the games that I can only lightly dive into here because if I don't, I will be spending the next 45 minutes talking about it.
Yeah.
It is a game in which you play an android that goes to Earth to try and take out other robots because you are trying to save the Earth so that the humans on the moon can come back to Earth someday.
I own this one. I'm looking forward to playing it.
You're going to play it a lot.
You're going to play it like 8 times.
Huh.
And that's because some of the playthroughs only take 30 minutes.
Huh.
I think there's a misnomer about this game because of the way that people talk about it. They're like, oh, well, it's got 12 different endings and you have to get to the 12th ending to really understand what's going on. Endings are not endings in this game. Endings are more like chapters. They do roll credits, but immediately the next game that you play is going to be vastly different than your last experience.
Completely different.
And it is a game that explores things like racism. In fact, that's kind of the big thing that it discusses. And I want to say, I'm not saying that as I'm philosophical about it. I fell backwards into that discussion. Like a friend of mine was talking. I was talking to you about it, Hector, but our other friend Wolf, he was like, "Where are you at?" Like I'm obsessed with this game, and I'm like, and he was like, "What do you think of like what the machines think?" And I'm like, "Are you talking about the them machines or the us machines?" And I went, "Oh shit." I just realized what this game's about. And
aren't we all the same shit though?
Yeah, and this is a game that goes places. It is a game that does things that you it's a well-known fact that to achieve the true ending of the game is going to ask you to delete your save file. That is just, it's a well-known fact. And when you understand why, when that happens in the game, you will feel things. By the way, make sure that online mode is turned on.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that my online mode was turned off on my Steam Deck, so I missed out on a lot of things that were in the game. Nier Automaton is probably one of the most beautiful, the most haunting, the most touching games that I've ever played. It is a game that will sit with me for a very long time, and even though I didn't get all the achievements, it is a game that I will never play again.
Were you able to play it with, like, you were able to play it on your Steam Deck, like with just a controller?
Yeah, absolutely. It was originally made for consoles.
Yeah. It was originally made for much older consoles than we have right now. You could probably easily play it on a Steam Deck. If your PC is playing Borderlands 2, it'll play it.
Yeah.
Cool.
But Nier Automaton is a game that deserves your time. It deserves having headphones on for it. It deserves your absolute attention.
Yeah.
Take your time going through it, because the first couple times you go through it, the first 2 chapters / endings, those are going to be your longest playthroughs. Those are going to be like 8-10 hours maybe. Everything after that is rapid fire succession. It's just like, here's a little chapter. Here's a little chapter. Oh, hey, we gave you a chapter select. Guess what? Every chapter you're doing after that, 30 minutes. It begins to escalate. And it makes sense in terms of the gameplay, why it does, and I don't want to get into it. Maybe someday we'll do a boss room just talking about Automaton, but it is... I love that game. And I cried, and I smiled, and I wondered about how we're gonna get through life as humans. I question things.
Or are the robots destined to have the same hang-ups that we do?
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
When we're long gone.
All right. That's everything that we have for the show this week. Don't forget that you can head over to goodnight.gg to become a patron of our show. You can head over to facebook.com/GNGGcast, where you can chat with us, as well as at GNGGcast on Twitter, and goodnight.gg on Blue Sky to talk to me directly.
Did we have a sponsor this week?
Abby sponsored us this week.
Oh,
Abby.
yeah. Thank you, Abby.
Thank you very
for
much.
everything. Thank you so much.
But until next time, for Hector, this is James.
For James, this is Hector.
For you, this is me.
Everyone, good night.
And good game.
When was the last time you guys saw a commercial?
Well, recently
Last time I watched sports with Ross and Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
Recently, I didn't have YouTube Premium for like a month, so I dealt with the most egregious YouTube ads.
I can't, man. I can't do it. I would rather just watch something else.
I did for the most part. I was like falling asleep to Disney Plus.
Like if there was no ad-free television streaming, I would do nothing but watch my Blu-ray collection.
Yeah.
I carry my laptop from room to room just so I have uBlock Origin.